Hi, BrenTech here, where tech is made simple. So since the days of Windows 8, Microsoft has been slowly modernizing the control panel and moving settings and options over to the new settings app in Windows 10 and more specifically now Windows 11. And this has been taking a long time. Windows 8 rolled out a good couple of years ago and we still have not finished the migration of settings from control panel to the settings app, as you may well know. Now, in regards to this, Microsoft's CVP of Design and Research for Windows and Devices, Marcus Ash, who we have spoken about previously on the channel, recently sat down with the Windows Central podcast team. I'll leave the article from Windows Central in the description if you'd like more information. And he sat down with them to discuss ongoing work around Windows 11's UI and how Microsoft is moving to finally eradicate the OS of legacy cruft, as they call it in the article, while maintaining backward compatibility where possible. And obviously, the discussion started with the control panel, which I think is a go-to as a measurement for the progress that Microsoft has made to modernize Windows. We can still see it looking very legacy compared to other components of the operating system. Now, in regards to modernizing the control panel and moving things over to settings, Ash says that the reason this has taken so long is that Microsoft has been priding itself on compatibility with legacy tooling and workflows, so it can't just rush in and modernize everything without first ensuring the modern replacements maintain functionality with what came before. And in regards to this, he says, and I'm quoting, "That's why things like control panel get tricky, because if a customer has a driver or has something that depends on that legacy functionality, we just have to be careful about not breaking that compatibility promise." He carries on to say, when we finally get things in settings, we will then deprecate places, say in control panel, where we don't need that function anymore. We can carry it forward. So that's his take on moving things over from control panel to the new settings. He also highlights that modernizing legacy interfaces is as much about designing and building the new interface as it is about developing the tooling and UI frameworks to support the functionality required to build the modern interface. And in regards to this, he says, and once again I'm quoting, "It also requires us to do work in WinUI 3 and some of these frameworks so that we can move things over at a rate that we think, one, customers can adopt and not break promises, but also just make sure we can test and we have the framework that supports all the things that our customers need. So we are pushing really hard to try to modernize, but we're also proud of the progress," quote unquote. And then in case you've ever wondered how Microsoft goes about choosing which legacy interfaces to modernize, he breaks down the process, confirming that, and once again I'm quoting, "It's based on usage, telemetry, feedback. It's based on where do we think the tooling is ready to move that surface forward. We just keep going through that and trying to make sure that over time, the amount of legacy UI that a customer would see in their day-to-day experience just gets smaller and smaller," quote unquote. He also says, once again quoting, "We look at user journeys like if you were to look at File Explorer. You were to think about all the functions that happen in File Explorer. We then look left to right and say, okay, for this particular dialog, where did the user start and where does the user end? So it's not just pick one dialog, it's pick the full user journey of the things that the customer is trying to do," quote unquote once again. He has also said that Microsoft is looking at how it can evolve its tooling, that one day it can tackle modernizing apps like the registry editor. And the registry is a big bone of contention why it's still in this glaring light theme, even if you have dark theme enabled. So it's quite a legacy component of the operating system. So in regards to the register editor, he says, and once again I'm quoting, I would say the common things that we look at are the top things that users and or customers want. File Explorer and some of the big apps, but even things like regedit and some of the tooling, we're already started to take a look at and figure out how would we attack this problem so that we keep a compatibility promise and we can modernize these frameworks. Once again, quote unquote. So it does seem that from the article, which by the way, as mentioned, will be in the description, that Microsoft wants to move Windows forward with modern designs that are consistent with its current design language of Windows 11, but that Microsoft must ensure that these modernizations don't interrupt workflows or break compatibility. So that's basically, according to what we are hearing from Marcus, it's ultimately why it's taken so long for Microsoft to modernize legacy UIs like the control panel and regedit across Windows, because it does seem that the UI frameworks and tooling required to do it need to be built out to ensure legacy support first. So that's according to Marcus Ash from Microsoft. Let me know your thoughts down below. Do you agree that's why it's taken so long to modernize those legacy surfaces in Windows 11? Let me know your thoughts down below. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.